Okay, happy Friday, everybody.
Hello.
I hope you've enjoyed your week. I hope school has been fun. I hope you've made it to the end of your schoolwork. Have we made it to the end of our schoolwork?
Yes. Yes.
Either way, the good news, everybody, is we're almost at the end of the day, which means one more thing to do. Parents, you're that little bit closer to gin o'clock as well, all right? So welcome to Code Club at Redgate. I guess the first thing we should do is do some introductions, tell you who we are. My name is Tim. I'm part of the team at Redgate. I'm based just outside Cambridge at our office there, but we've got offices in lots of other places in the world too. Now, over the next few weeks, hopefully you'll get to meet a few people from different locations and learn a little about who we are and what we do. So you'll see a bit about this. You'll also get to meet some of these kind of people too. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Matilda and I am 8 and I am going to be teaching you coding along with this guy.
Perfect. Now, as well as two of us, we've got some help on the call as well to try and deal with some of what's about to happen. Dave, are you around? Do you want to say hello too? I think either that means I've messed up the Zoom settings or Dave is not brave enough to say hello. Either way, let's move swiftly on. Right, so let me tell you how this is going to work. So we're going to be here every Friday, right across lockdown, trying to teach you some little bits of Scratch, learn some new coding. Now, at the moment, there are 3 classes going on. So this week, Tilda and I are going to be teaching the beginner class. That's those of you who are completely new to coding, who've never done any this sort of stuff before. So that's what we're going to be doing. Also, at the same time, Stephen and Olivia are teaching the intermediate group this week. So we are going to, do you see me there? Look at Dave. So they're going to be doing something for those of you who've seen a little bit of Scratch. And in the advanced group this week, we have got Ali and Dougie who are doing some Python. Now, all of these sessions are recorded. So if you decide that you've done a bit of the beginner and you fancy doing one of the others, or you kind of got into the wrong one this week, you can always jump and watch the YouTube channel and see one of the others. So don't worry if you're missing things. The way the beginner's session is going to work today is Tilda and I are going to take you through a little Scratch exercise to get you to know a little bit of the interface and learn some of the very basic things to get you going. We're going to share our screen and talk you through everything we're doing so you can follow along. And the lovely Dave and Russ, who can't talk to you on video because I've messed up the Zoom settings. It's week 1, everybody. Will be in the chat. So if you have any questions, ping them a message in there and they will try and answer as best they can. If you find that you get a bit behind or you get lost, don't worry, the video will be available afterwards. We'll send you a link to the guide that I'm following as well, so you can always catch up. Having done this last year, we find that we get a really even split between people who think I'm going too quickly and people who think I'm going too slowly. So I guess bear with us and we'll aim for somewhere in the middle. I think that is all the preamble I needed to do. So I'm going to stop talking at you and let's actually do some code. Let me share my screen, and to start with, Matilda, you are going to tell everybody what it is we are going to build today.
So we're going to build a rock band, and you can do whichever, when we get to coding, you can do whichever instrument we like, whichever background you like, and whichever sprite you like. So it's totally up to you which one you choose. It can even be animals who make the music.
Got it. So the goal of the exercise is to create our very own band. Would you like to demo the example band for people?
Yes.
Go for it. Beautiful work. So what we have here is a stage and 3 what we call sprites. So these are the things that we add, that we can add code to. So we've got a singer, a cymbal, and a drum. And these are the things in this example we're going to write code for. So this is where we begin, I believe.
Yay!
Right. So the first thing we want to do is go to Scratch and start a new project. So hopefully some of you saw the intro slide at the beginning and you're already there. For those of you that aren't, we'll punt the link into the chat as well so people can open this up. Now, let's briefly talk about what you can see here. This is the Scratch interface. Do you want to describe it, Tilda?
So we've got lots of different blocks. They're all different colours, so they're easy to tell, and they have their names underneath. They do different things. And on the stage, you'll see a cat, a walking cat. But underneath the stage, somewhere, it's in blue, you'll see a mini cat, and there'll be a giant bin with a cross in. We have to delete that because we don't need a cat in this game.
That's right. So in our band, we're not including the cat sprite. So let's
unless you want to win the challenge.
Let's get rid of the cat.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful. Right, so this is Scratch. Hopefully everybody can see this. Stage up the top, sprites come down on the right, and in this big empty space in the middle is where we're going to write code. Now, the first thing we are going to do this afternoon
is choose our sprite.
Is choose a sprite. We want to add an instrument to our band, and the first instrument we're going to add is a drum.
So, well, to be honest, it can be any instrument.
Let's stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Drum to begin with.
So
go back and let's just show people how you got to that.
So it's under the stage again. It's got a little cat and a plus on, and it should go green when you've got on it. It says choose a sprite, and you click on that, and you'll find a whole load of sprites. So we're going to along the top where my arrow is. We're going to click on music, and you can do drum or drum kit.
Drum.
But we're going to do the drum. So we've got one drum sprite.
Perfect. So we've now got a drum on our stage. You can click on it and you can move it around here if you want to. Now, before we go any further, what we are going to do is we're going to save our Scratch project. So up the top here, I've given it a name and I've pressed save. So for those of you that used Scratch before, if you're signed in, you'll be able to save it. If you haven't, you'll need to create an account first. So don't worry about that too much today. This is a thing that's very easy to go back to later on, but we're just going to save as we go, just in case anything fun happens with the Zoom call and we need to restart.
Can you move the camera down?
I can move the camera down. Are you worried that the people can't see your beautiful face?
No.
Better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Right. Next up, what we would like to do is add a background to our stage.
So it's by the sprite. If you go across a little bit, there'll be a choose a backdrop. And if you go to music again, it'll have 4. So you can either choose concert, spotlight, theatre, or theatre 2. We're going to choose spotlight because it's the best one ever. Spotlight.
So now we've got a background behind our drum. So let's just repeat that again for people. How did you create a new backdrop, Tilda?
So we went to, underneath the stage, you know where you choose a sprite, go a bit that way. What way is that?
Right.
Right, and stay at the same level and you'll get to choose a backdrop. And then you can be, well, basically you can choose any background you like. You can either scroll down till you find the one you like here, or you can just go to random music and there'll be 4 concert, spotlight, and theatre, and theatre 2. But we're going to choose spotlight. Perfect.
And I want to answer just quickly one question in the chat because I saw it go through, which was, can we change the size of the sprites? You can. If you pick your sprite out, so you've got this one here, you see over here it says size. So if I wanted to make my drum massive, I could pick a much bigger number here and press enter. I think we probably don't want the drum that big, do we?
No, can we see? I want to see how big it is. I want to see how big it is.
I think that's big enough for now, isn't it? Go on then, pick a bigger number.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh. No, brilliant.
Right, let's move on. Hopefully everybody is with us and we just about managed to keep an eye on things and it's looking okay. Next thing up is we want to make a drum. So before we do this, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on the left-hand side of your screen. So what we have here are all of the code blocks. This is how we're going to be writing our programs in Scratch. It's just like Lego. We drag and drop these blocks and we click them together.
Like this.
Let's hang on 1 second, because I've got another thing to do first. So even further to the left of that, you'll see these little circles with the colors. And here we have lots of different categories of blocks. So all the things to do with motion are organized in blue, all of the things to do with control in orange, sensing in blue. And this really helps when you're looking at how to follow these things, because you can pick out the colors of the blocks we're using and go from there. What we're going to do is add another category over on this left-hand first. I want to add the music extension, which will make our drum sound.
So we'll go down. So on the side where there's motion, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, my blocks, there'll be right all the way down your page, there'll be 2 blocks and a plus. And then you should get to this screen and we want to get music.
That's right.
Dun.
So this has added some new code blocks for us to use that are just for music. So it allows us to play drums and other sounds. Now we are going to write the first part of the code today. I want us to write some code that says whenever you click on the drum with your mouse or tap it with your finger, if you're on a tablet today, I want it to make the sound of a drum.
Boom.
So the code we're trying to write here, if you say it, you can understand there's different steps. So when I click the drum, I want something to happen. So what is the first block and the first color you're looking for?
It's an event and it's yellow. When this sprite is clicked.
Cool. So let's drag that out.
We grab and drag it out into the middle.
And let's make it a bit bigger so it's easy to see at home as well. That looks good. So when this sprite, so the drum, our code is all being added to the drum sprite here. It's not anywhere else. So this is just things that will control our drum. When this sprite is clicked, we want to use one of our new custom music blocks to play the drum sound.
It's the first one, play drum. And you can either, if you want to make it a different sound, we'll make that sound if it's normal. But if you want it to go to a different sound, you can go to here and you can choose a sound. And I'm going to choose that one.
Cool, right, so let's just do a quick recap of where we've got to and then we will move on to sounds in a second. Yeah, Tilda?
Okay. Can we just change it?
So what we did was we made sure we got our drum sprite selected. From events, we said when this sprite is clicked, play the drum sound from music. And now if we test our code, when we click on the drum. And if we wanted to change the kind of drum, we could pick one from this list, just from this list for now. So if you're all following along, challenge, see if you can pick something different from there. So we've all got a different sound for our drum. Looking good to me. Right, we'll just give it 1 second to make sure people are with us. Right, hopefully everybody is with us. It's looking pretty good. Next thing we are going to do is we want to add a singer to our band. And we're going to do this by creating a new sprite.
So where you got the drum, you can go back there and you can go back to music and you'll see after bell, drum, drum kit, drum cymbal, drum hi-hat, drum snare, drum conga, drums tabla, guitar, electric guitar, guitar electric, keyboard, microphone, radio, saxophone, and then you'll find the singer. And if you click on her,
we have added a singer to our stage 2.
I want to move her back there.
So let's drag her into the right place. On the stage. Nice. So in the previous step, the way we added a sound to the drum was we used this little extension down here and picked music.
But we don't have to do that now.
Now we're going to teach you 2 other ways to add sounds in Scratch. We're going to pick some sounds from the big library of sounds that Scratch has already got, and then we're going to record our own sound too.
Yes. So
first up, let's pick a sound from the sound library, shall we?
Up the top, there is code, costumes, and sounds. We need to press on sounds, and then there's a big library, but the one that you already have is pop. It's not a good sound for me. I don't like that sound. But there's a whole library of sounds. But I'm going to go back to the top. Because I can't see my favourite one. There it is. I have selected this.
Nice. So this is the sound we could use for our singer. So
we're going to use for our singer.
To recap, the way we got there was, here we were in our code view. We've got our singer sprite selected, and then I moved across to the sounds tab.
And then we choose beep bop.
Added a sound, and then picked one out.
That one, beeping.
The next thing we're going to try is we're going to try recording our own sound for the singer. So this time, rather than choosing a sound from this list on the bottom left, we're going to go up a couple and pick record. So what might happen at this stage is you might get a pop-up window to ask for permission to use the microphone on your device. So you can click that, say allow, and then it'll be able to hear what you're recording. And then as soon as you press the record button, it's going to record Matilda making a beautiful noise. Are you ready?
Yes.
Cool. Hang on. 5 seconds while other people have a go. We should be quiet while they're recording the sounds. Right, I think they've got it. So we have got a little editor window here, and you can drag these little sliders at the beginning and the end to chop your sound to the right length.
So...
And you can also preview it by pressing play.
So it's down.
Happy with that? Save.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wait, I want to see what it's like.
Let's hang on a sec. So we've got our new sound recorded here. And Scratch gives you some pretty cool controls for editing your sound. So
there's faster, slower, louder, softer, mute, fade in, fade out, reverse. I want to try it in reverse. Nah. How do you get it out of reverse?
Reverse it again. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do another quick recap. So the way we're creating sounds is we pick the sprite we want to add the sounds to, and then we move over to the sounds tab. And from the bottom left,
you can either choose a sound.
I can choose a sound from the existing library, or we can record a sound by going a little bit further up and picking the record option just here. We're going to hold for just a few seconds to let people catch up with us.
I want to choose a different sound. Can I choose a different sound? I'll sing this myself.
Right. Next up, we need to make our singer sing. So whatever beautiful noise you have just created or found from the library, we are going to make sure that when the singer is clicked on, that's the sound you hear.
So, what we're going to do is go back to code. We're going to go to events. When this sprite is clicked again, we're going to go to sound. And we're going to play whatever sound you want. And we're going to press play, sound, whatever sound until done. And now, when you press it...
Thank you. It's a lovely sound. So, what you'll start to see as we do these sessions is lots of this is just breaking the thing you want to happen down into steps. So I often find it's really easy to kind of talk through the thing you're trying to achieve. So the thing we want to achieve is when you click on Singer, she plays our sound. So when Singer is clicked, I want to play a sound. So you can see how this starts to line up in our code. And this is exactly what we all spend our days doing. Right? The code just gets longer and there's more text in it, but it's just breaking these things down into very simple instructions. So hopefully everybody now has a drum that makes a sound that sounds a little bit like a drum, or not, and a singer who is singing something beautiful, or not.
And ours is, yes, she's singing something very beautiful.
Cool. Next up, and we're doing really well, everybody, so we're going to do a couple more stages today. I'm aware that we're showing you a whole load of very new things quite quickly, so if you're finding there's been a little bit much to get into, don't worry, the video will be online later.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to think about is, can we start to make these things look as though they're actually moving, as though they're actually being played? And what we're going to do first is we are going to look at what our singer is doing. So at the moment, when I click on her, she doesn't appear to move. I'd like it to make it look like she's singing exactly when she's clicked on. And the way we do this in Scratch is Scratch has a concept called costumes. And a costume is a kind of look that you can apply to a sprite. So each sprite can have more than one costume. So what we're going to do is making sure we've got our singer sprite selected over on the right-hand side, is head up to the top left where we've got our 3 tabs.
So we've got code and sounds, but in the middle of those two is costumes. We'll click on costumes.
That's it. And then let's pause here a second to explain to people what we can see. So over on the left, we've got this singer with a little 1 next to her. So this means that in Scratch, we have got one costume for this singer. And in the middle, this is what she looks like. So this is how the sprite is made up. This is the drawing. And you can see that we've got a few little drawing tools in here. We've got paintbrushes and fill and text. So you could start to change this sprite around. Say if we wanted to change the color of her hair, you could click on her hair and then fill it in a different color maybe.
I want to give her stripes.
Or we could give her stripes maybe.
Yeah, let's give her stripes. I want to change the color of her dress.
So we're just going to have a little play around with the paint tools to see what we can come up with. If you're all with us, see what you can create, so you can customize your singer a little bit so we all end up with something different.
How do you get the outline? Now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some paintbrush. Oh, I Actually, I'm going to do that one. Yeah, I want to change the colour of my mouth.
I quite like that. I think that looks good.
It's my singer. That's my really weird singer. And I'm speaking about how she speaks.
Right. So we've got our singer customized here. I can see a couple of people in the chat have asked us to recap the sound bits. What we'll do is let's just finish creating these costumes for our singer, and then we'll go back and I'll show you the sounds again. So let's carry on doing the art bit now, and then we'll go back and do some sound again in a minute. So now we have got our own beautiful custom singer here. What we want to do is create an animation. So let's make it look as though she's moving. So much like a lot of the films you'll have seen that are made up of stop frame animations, we're going to make a second version of this singer and make it look like she's moving. Now there is a way to duplicate these sprites, so to copy them. And the way you do that is if you're on a PC or a Mac, you right click, Mac, control click. If you're on a tablet, you do a long press on top of the sprite in the top left, and then you click duplicate. Boom. So what that has done is it's created two of our sprites that are exactly the same. What I would like you to do with this second sprite is make her look as though she is singing. I don't mind how you do that, but I want this singer to look like she's singing. What have you got, Tilda?
I am going to make her look like she's screaming. Triangle first. Always triangles. Now I change colour to purple. And we do another triangle. This time it's a scalene.
Did you say this time it's a scalene?
Yeah.
Homeschool.
Wow. It's just a scalene.
No, I'm pretty pleased with that.
Not because I listened.
Right, this is looking pretty good to me. Let's just finish off. So we've got our two sprites. Happy with that?
Yeah, I just finished up her hair.
Cool.
It's amazing now.
So, two sprites up here. Just
No,
before
we
she
need to
starts her
change
song.
it.
What do we need to change it to?
Her hair, look. Her hair's, you need her outline to be like that. There we go. See, now they're the same. That one, that one, that one, that one. Well, they're not the same, but the hair's the same.
Got it. So, not singing, singing. Not singing, singing. We're going to do one more thing with our costumes here that isn't so important for this activity, but later on when we start to do a little bit more complicated things with lots more costumes, it really helps if you give them names that are easy to remember and make sense for what they are. So up near the top of your editor, you'll see something that says costume, and it probably says Singer 1 at the moment. I want to change that so it's got a name that's a bit closer to what this thing is actually doing. So let's change Singer 1, and in that space, let's type not singing. Brilliant. So the reason why I'm doing this is a little bit later on, we're going to write some code to get our sprite to change. And having names that mean something means it's much easier to remember which costume to use. And while I'm talking, Tola is also changing the singing one over to be called singing, I guess.
Singing lady.
Nice. So
It's amazing.
just to quickly go back over what we've just done, we were on our code tab and made sure my singer sprite was collected. We went into costumes. We duplicated our first costume by right-clicking and clicking duplicates. And then we customized them using the art tools to make one look like they're not singing, one like they're singing. And last up, we gave them some names that meant something. So when we write our code, we know what we're
singing
doing.
lady.
Right. Next thing is we want to actually write some code. So when our lady is singing, it looks like she's singing. Do you think you can talk people through how you're going to do that?
Yes. So we go back to code and we're going to go to looks. So we're going to press switch costume to singing lady. And then after that, we'll do not singing. Ta-da! Oh no!
Right. Let's stick with this script. Let's give it a test and see if our singer is doing the right thing. Thank you. So,
this is her dress is an animation as well. Watch the dress.
Oh, looks like she's moving.
She's dancing.
Nice. So, using the same kind of logic we've used before, we're just breaking up the thing we wanted to happen into steps again. We use the looks blocks, which all control the way that the things look on the screen. And we're saying when the sprite, when the singer is clicked, we want to change that costume to that new one we created. Then we want it to play the sound. And then as soon as the sound is finished, let's switch it back again. So we get this effect that every time you click on it, it looks like she's singing.
And mine also looks like she's dancing.
And she looks like she's dancing.
What?
Beautiful. Okay, we are going to do one final stage together, and then we're going to set you a little bit of a challenge to work on for maybe 5 minutes or so, and we'll go quiet and try and work on it too. Hopefully, as you've been starting to use Scratch, you're seeing loads of other options and loads of little blocks that you could drag in and make different things happen. And the great thing about this is it's impossible to break anything. You can play around with this and try things out. If it doesn't work, take them away again and just see what kind of effects you can come up with.
And also, a tip for the challenge is if you want to, you can add in sprites, take away sprites, choose a different background. You can different costume your lady, singing lady, or you can even change your singing lady into a totally different character.
So the last piece we're doing together today is I want to try and follow what we've just done. So we created some new costumes and we wrote some code to change the costume. I'd like to do that same thing for the drum as well. So we'll switch over to our drum sprites, make sure we've got a colour for the costumes, maybe customize them so it looks like the drum is being hit when you click on it.
Make it thinner.
The brush size tool there.
I think I might duplicate that because it's gone wrong.
You can undo, so if you do something you're not quite sure about, there's some little back arrows here which let you undo the changes you've made. You keep stepping back until you get to the place where you're happy. So we're editing the first sprite at the moment, which is what the drum looks like when it's resting. Or is this what the drum looks like when it's hit? What are you going for?
Resting.
Got it.
That's why I'm doing a little bit green.
And then let's do some hit. Perfect. So let's name our two drums so they're easy to work out which one's which.
Drum resting.
Drum resting.
And a drum being hit.
Drum hit. So same process for a couple of sprites. Looks slightly different. And then we're going to jump back to our code and write some code just like we did for the singer to change the costumes.
So now we're going to do switch costume to drum hit just like we did, and then change it back to drum resting, and then do like that. And now it should work.
You pleased with that?
Yeah, I like mine.
Excellent. How are we doing for time? We're doing pretty well for time. Great. Right. So this is the point where hopefully, for those of you that are all up with us, we're ready to set you a little bit of challenge for 5 minutes. If people are a little bit behind, now's the time when we actually will be able to talk to you a little bit and try and catch you up. But what we want to do for 5 minutes is set you a little bit of a challenge, see where you can get to in 5 minutes. What we want to do is challenge you to add one more instrument to your band. Now, you've seen how to add sprites, you've seen how to record or import sounds, and hopefully you've seen how to animate them. Now, you could be as creative as you like here. You could pick one of the instruments that looks realistic and pick a realistic sound. You could pick something a bit crazy.
Like a man.
Like Matilda is probably going to. But either way, 5 minutes, see if you can create at least one new instrument with some kind of sound to add to your band. We are going to mute ourselves so you don't have to listen to us doing that. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to show you what we've made and see where you have got to as well. Okay, that was 5-ish minutes. So we would like to show you where we have got to in this time. Do you want to demo what you've built, Tilda?
Yeah. So I have completely changed the singer. She makes absolutely no sound and no different costumes.
Yet.
And this is my friend Gobo, who has been added in and makes the most amazing sound ever.
Nice.
And then this is my drums. And they make my favourite sound.
Lovely.
And one of my speakers make a sound as well. This is Nano, and she's really tired, so she makes this sound. And this is my speaker that makes sound.
Cool. So we can layer these on top, so you can click that one and then start a different one.
And I'm going to finish off that one.
Once we have finished off what we're doing.
Once we've finished what we're doing.
Right, so I'm going to stop with screen sharing and walking through because I think we've covered a lot of things today. So what we have done so far today is had a quick look at the Scratch interface and get an idea of what's here. We have created some new sprites. So these are the things that we add code to. We have added a backdrop to our stage. So we've got something going on behind. And then we have written code to be able to start to control our sprites. So when you click on a sprite, we can make it make a noise or make it change its costumes. Now, these are the real building blocks for where we'll go with this next. Everything that you do in the following weeks will be built on these simple concepts. So it's really good to play around with them and try out some new things. What would be amazing if you get time over the week fitting in with your other things is just keep building your band and see what else you can do. Maybe try and see if you can get your favorite song to play along behind it, and then you could play your instruments with your song, or maybe see if you can get the background to change along with the instruments. If you're feeling really ambitious, maybe take a look at the motion blocks in blue and see if you can get some of your characters to move at the same time. Like, as if something we'll cover in a future week, but hey, play around, see where you get to. Now, the way we're handling this for e-safety and the kind of things that you've been learning about at school is we can't ask any of you to show your work with us now on screen, but as soon as we finish this, we'll send each of your grown-ups a little survey to tell us what they think we could do better. And one of the things they could do there is send us a link to your game if you'd like to show Tilda and I what you've been doing, because we'd love to see you and have a play around. Maybe we'll be able to show some of them next week as well. We'll see how we go. I think that's everything I needed to cover. I want to say thank you to Dave and Russ for helping out in the chat. I've been watching that scroll through and you've done a great job. I'm sorry I messed up your video settings. We'll fix that by next week. This time next week in the beginner session, you're going to meet a few new Redgaters. Another Dave who works with us and his daughter Bethany are going to be working. And also you'll have Russ again in the chat and Eleanor, who is part of the design team at Redgate there to support as well. They tell me they are doing something called Ghostbusters. So cool. I guess we will find out what that is next week. Otherwise, Tilda, do you have anything to say before we shut the call down?
No.
Excellent. So what I would say is have a lovely weekend. Thank you for putting up with us for this. Enjoy playing with Scratch. Be safe, keep healthy. Have a lovely weekend. We will see you next Friday. Bye-bye.
Bye.